If you don't like me and you hate watch me and you're just here to critique me, your life is sad. I think it's really sad that you're doing that, and I hope that like you find some love and joy in your life.
Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, hello. If you are returning, welcome back. Thank you so much for sticking around. I really appreciate you. I was not centered in that frame and it was bothering me. Anyways, hello. Today we are back with another history lesson. Can we say thank you, OCD medication, yet again? Truly the reason I've been able to crank so many of these out in the last few months, and I've enjoyed it because I like doing these. Today we're going to be doing a history lesson on Alexandra Rodriguez, or as she was known for a very long time, Learning to Be Fearless. This one was honestly really interesting for me to kind of plan out and research because I can really see her like descent into overall like fat activism over her original brand of like overall body positivity. But also like, I just don't think I realized like how much of an unreliable narrator she had become. And I really think there was like one incident that kind of broke the camel's back with that. But we'll talk about that later, because I used to be a huge fan of Alex, and yeah, I'll get into that later. I'm going to talk about my parasocial relationship with her in a little bit. Yeah, that's what we're going to be doing today, so let's just get into it. But before we get into today's video, I want to thank today's video sponsor, Factor. Now, if you follow me on Instagram, you know that I have been singing the praises of Factor for a while now. Even long before they like reached out to collaborate with me, I was buying it with my own money. If you don't know what Factor is, it is a meal subscription service that delivers fresh, never frozen meals directly to your doorstep that are chef crafted, dietitian approved, and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. You choose from a weekly menu of 35 options, including meals that fall under different categories like Calorie Smart, Keto, Protein Plus, or Vegan and Veg. They also offer 60 different add-ons each week, and those are things like breakfast, snacks, and beverages to help you stay fueled throughout your entire week and keep your good day going. I was actually recommended Factor via my dietitian because I was really struggling at the time with energy levels, and I was starting to order a lot of takeout. And honestly, I feel like having really good meals just like ready to go in my fridge to heat up in 2 minutes is a game changer for me. I really enjoy Factor because you can change the size of your order every week depending on what you need, and you can get anywhere from 4 to 18 meals a week, or you can pause and or reschedule your deliveries at any time. I honestly really recommend Factor to anybody out there who finds themselves like struggling to cook food for themselves all the time. My brain just gets overloaded, and like the idea of cooking a meal for myself is just like, whoa, nobody warned me I'd have to think about what I was going to eat for dinner every single day. So if you're interested in giving Factor a try for yourself, use the link down below in my description for 50% off your first delivery and then 20% off your first month of orders. Thank you again so much to Factor for sponsoring today's video. It was really exciting when they reached out to me, seeing as I'd been a customer for a while. And thank you to you guys for continuing to interact with my content so that brands like Factor want to work with me. And yeah, let's just get back into the video. If you don't know who Alex is, I'm just going to start off with like a brief overview of who she is. She has been a body positivity influencer on both like Instagram and YouTube, who began her career like 12 years ago. And I believe she's 31 or 32 now. Her channel, like I said in the beginning, for a really long time was called Learning to Be Fearless. But a couple years ago, coincidentally, while she was in the middle of one of the bigger or biggest scandals to center around her channel, she did change her channel name to Alexandra Rodriguez, which is just her name. And she started off making a lot of content like that was mainly centered around fashion and beauty, but also very much made her like curvy girlness, her fatness, a big part of her online persona. It's something that she's talked about ever since starting her channel. Her videos started off like super humbly, just being filmed in, I think, what was her bedroom when she was living with her mom. On top of the fashion and beauty content, she also made a lot of content content regarding like dating as a fat girl and like sex as a plus size girl and like all this kind of stuff. When I was going through her channel, I did notice that she started what I believe to be her first public weight loss journey on her channel like 10 years ago, but her weight and her attempts at weight loss have also been recurring topics on her channel. Over time, her content has kind of shifted from being less about beauty and fashion, and now I feel like the main focus of her channel is like lifestyle vlogging and home decor content and stuff like that, because she is married now and she is pregnant after struggling with infertility for a really long time and having a miscarriage, and so a lot of her content is rightfully so surrounding pregnancy, and I totally understand that. That being said, this goes for any of my videos and any people I talk about in my video, but like please really do not go send her any hate. Like she doesn't need that right now. Like she is pregnant. And so I just wanted to put that here right away. I mentioned in the intro that I have been watching Alex for a very long time, and I stopped keeping up with her as much, I'd say like a couple years ago, but like, I mean, I had been watching her since I was probably like 15 or 16, and I'm turning 28 in September. I'm 27 now. She was honestly one of the creators that I watched a lot growing up that made me want to start my own channel someday. I am an only child, and so I grew up having a lot of like virtual big sisters that I turned to for things like advice about dating and fashion and stuff like that, and especially dating when I got to be that age and I was curious about it. She talked like pretty openly about dating and sex and stuff as a fat girl, and I also really liked her like fashion sense at the time, and I was also deep into the beauty guru world, and so she kind of just ticked a lot of boxes for me, and I grew a very strong like parasocial relationship with her. Nothing unhealthy, it was just like she was one of my favorite creators growing up. And I think when I started to lose weight, I started to see more of like the things that she was saying and how they could be problematic, and kind of when I had my come to moment about what I thought was body positivity content really being fat activism content, and so I had to leave a lot of that behind. I kind of became more disconnected from Alex's content over time, but like that's not a big deal because I feel like not everybody is a creator for everybody all the time, you know what I mean? And I do feel like there's been like an uptick in specifically like channels who focus specifically on her and like nitpicking her content, which I think is weird personally. I have just noticed that there's been like an uptick in criticism of her and critique of her, and it's been really interesting to watch as someone who used to be a very big fan of her. Just like in my other history lessons, this is just kind of gonna be me giving like the Spark Notes version of why and how we got here with her. I'll say I don't think she's on the same level of problematic as some of the other creators I have done history lessons on, but there is still enough to warrant one, so we're gonna do it. I think one of the first big critiques of Alex that I started seeing over and over and over again is one that we see regarding a lot of influencers, especially ones that had very humble beginnings, like before influencing was even a job, that kind of thing. It's just the fact that she has a lot of sponsors, doesn't always disclose them how she should, and it got to the point, and this was another reason why I kind of fell off from her content as well, it got to the point where like every single bit of like content that she posted had some sort of sponsor in it. It wasn't just like an ad read in the middle of a video. Like it was like the things she was showing because it was sponsored and it was sent to her and that kind of stuff. And it became very disingenuous to me and to a lot of people, I think. And because I obviously like don't have an issue with sponsored content, this video is sponsored, and that's like how content creators make a lot of their money. But like with Alex, it became almost like she did not post or she did not talk about a certain product that she liked when that was something that she had done over the course of her entire channel, unless she was getting paid for it or unless like it was sent to her, and or probably both. It was honestly more, it felt like it became more about the sponsors and like less about what her audience actually wanted to see. It's just kind of what her whole channel is at this point. And even though she does a lot of vlogs now, like she still sneaks it in there. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is just like a broader idea because there's there's a couple specific instances that I want to bring up when it comes to this, and this is just overall lying about her appearance and heavily doctoring her appearance on social media. I feel like over the course of Alex's online career, she has gone from like heavily photoshopping her photos on Instagram to like flat out lying about cosmetic procedures that she had when people asked her about them. The first thing is photoshopping her photos, and honestly, I think this is the smaller issue of the two things, especially with like it just being the norm that that's what influencers do now. I think we've all kind of come to know that the girl in the photo doesn't necessarily look like the girl in the photo, but Alex, like for a really long time, altered her photos to the point of like changing what her body looks like. It has affected her viewers, and it has affected her, like it did affect her fans, and there's comments on comments about this. That's where I started to take a lot of issue with Alex, because I think this... Hi, editing Megan here. I realized I didn't read any of these comments anywhere in the video, so I wanted to read a couple here, and I'm not going to put the usernames or whatever, but these are from videos of like commentary channels talking about her being exposed for heavily photoshopping her images, and so these are like from 3 years ago, but I still just wanted to show them here because this really did affect her viewers. This one says, "Now I'm not blaming her for my weight, but she claimed to be my weight size 18-20, and we have extremely similar body shapes. She would recommend 18-20 clothing sizes. I would go try it on, and I'm like, this is extremely too small. There is no way that is good for a size 18-20. And then I realized after a few hauls, she is lying about her size. Her makeup looks and outfit posts are extremely edited. I can't trust her. I wish her luck on her self-acceptance journey and wish her many blessings, but I can't trust her." And then there is another one that says, "Gonna go on a rant here. Seeing this hurts. Alex was the reason why I started loving myself. She helped me build enough confidence so I could finally start loving my body. I'm plus size, and I've been plus size my entire life. I hated shopping for clothes because nothing would fit properly, and I hated everything about myself. After I found Alex and saw that she was like me and also struggled with body positivity, I didn't feel so alone. I always had a hunch she photoshopped her pictures, but actually seeing side-by-side comparisons makes it so much worse. How can she preach about body positivity and loving yourself when it's blatantly clear that she is the complete opposite of both of those things? I stopped following her because her content just didn't appeal to me anymore, but now I know that she's a big fucking liar. This isn't okay. None of this is okay." So yeah, I just wanted to put those in here and read that aloud, just because I've realized I did not do that for the rest of this video. I'm probably going to pop up editing here a few times throughout the video, so yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye! And I think the heavy editing of her photos really came more into light when the topic that we now know was her paniculectomy or a tummy tuck. Honestly, I thought it was a paniculectomy, but she calls it a tummy tuck, so I don't know. But like when the internet figured out that she had had a paniculectomy or a tummy tuck, I made a whole video on this when it happened, but it's kind of old and some of my opinions have changed since then. And so I'll like give the rundown of what happened anyways. So back in 2021, internet sleuths discovered that Alex may not have been telling the truth about how her body had changed and why her hanging belly had like suddenly disappeared. During this time as well, Alex was on a big Weight Watchers kick and was promoting her Weight Watchers on her channel and on her Instagram. And to the point where people were like convinced that she was sponsored by Weight Watchers. Although I don't know if that was like ever confirmed or denied, but like they definitely should have sponsored her because she was like pushing Weight Watchers like nobody's business. I distinctly remember that. During this like Weight Watchers era on her various platforms, people would like ask her about how she lost her hanging belly because it was like very evident that her hanging belly was gone. And they were asking just out of curiosity because it was also an area that they wanted to work on for themselves. She would respond saying things that it was the diet and the exercise that was helping her lose her belly. Like I mentioned before, internet sleuths did what internet sleuths do, and they figured out that she had to have had some kind of surgery. And I think the tell for this was because she posted a video of her or a photo of her or something in a pool, and plastic surgery like tummy tuck, belly buttons are very much a kind of like if you know, you know situation, because they have a very distinct look to them. And she very much had that kind of a belly button. After getting called out enough about it, she did finally come clean in a video on her channel. And I cannot for the life of me find this original video that she made, because I believe she deleted it and I couldn't find it archived anywhere. But judging by my old video regarding this topic, because it was made right after she came out with this initial video, I remember her not understanding what she needed to apologize for, and like I remember the video being overall kind of a miss for most of her audience. But in this coming clean video, she did admit to having, I believe, a paniculectomy, but she later calls it a tummy tuck. So I don't know. A paniculectomy, for those who don't know, is basically where they just remove like the hanging part of your belly. Like I think a tummy tuck involves more of like the tightening of muscles and stuff like that. But this one is where they literally just remove like the skin and the fat that is your hanging belly. I remember her talking about how it was causing her a lot of problems, like rashes and stuff, and so that was a big reason that she got the procedure. And when it comes to this, when it comes to the photo editing thing, it might not seem like a huge deal that she didn't tell anybody, because influencers getting plastic surgery and photoshopping their photos without telling anybody, like I said, is just very much the norm. But I think the issue with Alex withholding this information from her audience came from the fact that in conjunction with her not telling her audience that she had this procedure done, she was telling them that she lost that her belly disappeared because of diet and exercise, and while she was promoting Weight Watchers. She had like literally just had it cut off. And I mentioned this in my other video too, but for me it was less of like it being against her brand, you know, like that wasn't really an issue for me. For me, it was like it gave an unrealistic expectation of what losing weight looks like, because she did say at the time, I think she had lost like 40 pounds. She had also been like on pretty consistent weight loss journeys and stuff like that at that point in her content. I think a lot of people may have followed her for that, or continued to follow her for that. And for me, it just set a very unrealistic expectation of what a belly would look like after weight loss, because like I lost 115 pounds at my lowest weight, and I very much still had a belly and very much was still gonna have to get it removed. And so to have it just be like flat, and for her to be like, oh, I did it with diet and exercise, so unrealistic and so harmful to spread to your audience of vulnerable, probably younger women, you know? Even though this all happened in 2021, in 2022, she came out with another video called, I think it was We Need to Talk. And it was basically like just her giving more, it was like just a dump. Like it was just like a brain dump of like her giving more context as to why she withheld the information about her tummy tuck. Like she talks about heavily photoshopping her photos. In this video, she talked about how there's a lot of heavy scrutiny online, and it was kind of like increasing about her constant like yo-yo, gaining, losing, gaining, losing, gaining, losing, and that made her want to Photoshop her photos. She does apologize for the heavy Photoshopping, and she also says that like one of her biggest regrets, if not her biggest regret, was the fact that she didn't share the tummy tuck. And she kind of blames her manager for not telling her audience about it.
I'm gonna do it now. Every time I sit down to film this, I never know where to start or how to like express everything that is on my mind. And this has been eating me up for like a really, really long time. But lately it's just been eating me even more. And like, if I don't get this off my chest, I feel like I'm just gonna go to a really dark place. It's been making me feel sick. I have a lot of mistakes that I just want to own up to, but I think I've done some damage on my channel that really just isn't okay, that I feel really, really bad about. Let's go back to the beginning, right? So I start my channel, I'm really young. I started watching Sarah Ray Vargas, Trisha Paytas, and seeing for the first time plus size women being so confident in their bodies and like showing off their outfits. I was so inspired and felt so good about myself. And I was like, I want to give this to people. I want to give people this feeling too. That's what started all of this. I started at just wanting to make women feel good in their bodies, make people feel confident, comfortable, whatever size you were. And back in that time, no one did YouTube as a job. I didn't know YouTube could be a job. People were not making money like from YouTube. And I did it just purely out of loving it, loving it. Over the years, I start to gain weight. Some of it was from being in a really toxic relationship, and some of it was from the scrutiny of being online. And as I was gaining weight, I'll never forget the first Instagram page I saw dedicated to showing my weight gain and showing me photoshopping pictures. And I remember the moment super clearly. I was laying on my bed in an old apartment. I was alone,
And it was the first time I had felt the thought of, I don't want to be here. Honestly, that was the first time I had ever felt that. My heart just dropped. I felt sick. I had never photoshopped my pictures until I started gaining weight and getting slammed for it. It's like there's this cycle almost that I'm sure a lot of other people can understand online. Like gaining weight because you're stress eating from like the internet pressure, and then once you gain weight, you Photoshop because you feel bad about gaining weight and because people are pointing out that you're gaining weight, and then you eat because you feel so bad about it, and then it's just like this vicious cycle. I didn't even know how to Photoshop until one of my internet friends showed me Facetune, and I look back and I am so like disgusted at how photoshopped my photos were, and I feel so bad about it. And I want you guys to know I do not Photoshop my photos anymore, and that was just never okay. But I definitely fell into the pressure of being online and publicly gaining weight and just like getting fat comments every day. You feel so bad about yourself. For the longest time, and why I started this, I want to make people feel good in their skin. And like, I can completely understand why some people are like, well, who are you to tell us that? You Photoshopped, you've gotten weight loss surgery, you had a tummy tuck and didn't tell us about it. 100%. And that eats me alive every day. Oh my gosh, the tummy tuck. I knew in my heart and in my gut and in my soul that I should share that with you guys. And I heard so many different things from people in my life telling me not to share it, especially a manager figure. I'll never forget when I talked to her about it. I told her, I'm like, look, I feel like I need to share this. And she told me it would affect my body positive brand and that it wouldn't be smart to share. And I listened, and that is 100% on me. But I knew that I wanted to share it. And that's where it gets so like disgruntled, because I don't think that's the right word, but where it gets so messy because this was personal, and then it becomes a career, and then you have to start thinking about things and thinking about how you're portraying yourself, and you know, but like I'm done with that. Like I'm so done with that. I just want you to know that I love you guys, and I'm so sorry, and I want to be that role model for you again. I don't know how this is going to be perceived. I don't know how this is going to go, but I have to just say this, and I already feel so much lighter just talking it out and getting through it. This is the first time I've been able to really get through all of this and really let it out, and oh my God, like I feel like I can breathe.
This video is very open and seemingly vulnerable, but for me, and this could just be me being jaded from making this kind of content for such a long time, but like for me, the vulnerability seems almost like calculated and manipulative, a way to like deflect her wrongdoings. But ultimately, she did apologize, and that's kind of all people really wanted from her. In this video, she also says that she doesn't want to Photoshop anymore and that she wouldn't Photoshop her photos anymore, which, going off of her recent Instagram feed, it does look like she has stopped super editing things, but like, I still have eyes. And even though I'm a graphic designer and can spot Photoshop from a mile away, like I still have eyes, and I can tell when skin has been blurred and things like that, but I also just think that's kind of the nature of the beast of social media. I'll be the first to admit that I put filters on my Instagram photos, and like I'll edit out like a little zit here and there, but like you will never catch me altering what my whole body looks like. And that was very much what she was doing. And I just took a lot of issue with this and the lying, especially lying about the plastic surgery, because I just went back to like little Megan, 15, 16-year-old Megan, watching Alex as like a role model of sorts online, and then finding out that she lied about a huge thing that she preached all the time about, like being enough and like not needing any of this stuff, and like you are beautiful no matter what, and that kind of thing. Like it just was really hard for me to see happen. And there is a fine line on social media between of like, I think editing and like beautifying photos a little bit and like flat out lying. And I really think that with the way Alex used to edit her photos, and obviously with the plastic surgery, she just flat out lied to her audience for a long time. I think this whole thing was also just really confusing to people as to like why she lied about it, because she like, one of her most viewed videos on her channel is a video talking about her experience with 1, lap band surgery when she was a teenager, and 2, she had chin lipo done. And so like she's always been really open about it, and so it was just really weird that that was like what she chose to lie about. I think the bigger thing with this whole situation was that it really brought to her audience's attention that Alex has the capability of lying to them by omission, and this is something that will come into play a lot throughout the rest of her channel, like throughout the rest of time up until now regarding her channel, because I really think this was like the straw that broke the camel's back for her in terms of her audience realizing that she is an unreliable narrator, and her content and what she says has to be taken with a grain of salt. Personally, that's my opinion. Also, in 2021, Alex made a video in November talking about how she was having gastric bypass surgery and timed the video so that when the video went live, she had either already had the surgery or was having the surgery. Before I get into this at all, if you're new here, I had weight loss surgery, okay? I had it 6 years ago, and I stand by the fact that it is the best thing, hands down, that I have ever done for myself. So I have no issues with weight loss surgery, okay? And I do think she faced some criticism for not telling her audience, like, when she started the bariatric process, and chose to only tell them when she was having the surgery. But honestly, I understand why she did that, given the very strong opinions that people in the body positivity / fat activism sphere have around weight loss surgery, and also just how evident it is that people's opinions of her like have a very strong effect on Alex. I understood why she waited. In this video, she talks about why she chose to go this route, and overwhelmingly, it seemed like the main reason she had weight loss surgery was to get down to a healthier weight so that she could have a baby, so that her and her husband could have a baby.
Okay, as you can tell by the title of this, I am having gastric bypass surgery. When you're watching this, I will be in surgery. I didn't post this before the surgery because I didn't want to read a bunch of negative stuff and get in my head about it. As you guys know, I have struggled with my weight my entire life, and something I really want to clarify and drive home here is that I am not having the surgery to look different. I do not care. For the first time in my life, I don't care. I don't care how I look. I finally feel totally comfortable with the way I look. I think I dress cute. I think I look cute, but I am not feeling good. Over the last year, I started to develop really bad lower back pain, knee pain, and ankle pain. And that's something that I've never felt before. And that was a huge reality check for me. And it really hit me when, Yar and I were talking about starting a family. I thought to myself, I'm like, I can't. I mean, I could, but I don't think I would be comfortable. I honestly don't think I would feel good at all carrying a child, like with the lower back pain and the knee pain that I've been feeling. And that was a huge, huge moment for me. I'm like, I think I need to put my health first. And it's a sacrifice. It's a huge sacrifice because ultimately we're both ready to be parents. Like, we feel it in our hearts, like we want a baby. You're not able to try for a baby until a year after gastric bypass, even to try. So having to put that on hold was a really, really, really hard decision. But I know I need to get some of this excess weight off me because I'm not feeling good anymore. This is all about health for me. It's all about health for me. I did WW last year. Was it last year at this point? I don't even know. I lost 50, gained back 70. I'm just exhausted with this uphill battle. I don't care about being thin. I don't expect or care or want to come out of this skinny. I just want to be the healthiest and happiest Alex I can be. And I'm done with the battle. I'm done with the battle. I'm sick of not feeling good. I had so much fear around announcing this because I don't want to disappoint anyone. I don't want to disappoint anyone. I don't want anyone to think that they're not worthy because my body will be changing. And I mean, I've struggled with, for a long time, the gaining weight and like getting criticized online. And I really felt bad about myself for a while. And it's hard because I feel like I'm finally in a good place with my body in terms of my appearance, but I'm not in a good place with how I feel. And I gotta do this for me, to take care of me. I'm ready for change and to feel better. So I don't know. I don't know if I said everything I want to say. I've literally been thinking about this video for so long. So I will see you guys after my surgery. And I love you guys so very much. Always, 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 always. Okay.
After this, gastric bypass content became a very prominent thing on her channel, and naturally this led to a lot of speculation as to if she was doing it like the quote-unquote right way. I had been asked a lot, and I still am asked from time to time, to talk about Alex's weight loss surgery and her progress, or lack thereof to some. I never really touched on this in a video because if there's one thing that I learned about weight loss surgery over the course of like having it myself and meeting a bunch of other people who have had it and whatever, and now that I'm 6 years out from having it, like, it's that weight loss surgery, no matter like the kind or whatever, really does take differently with different people. I also just like don't like speculating about people's weight loss and if the number they're saying they've lost is like true or not, because people carry their weight so differently and from one another, and I just don't feel qualified to talk about that, if I'm being completely honest. But I will say about this is the way that Alex went about things post-op, specifically in the first year, was a little odd to me. I never had gastric bypass, I had the sleeve, but like I have had weight loss surgery, right? Her consumption of processed foods really didn't decrease, and that she was just kind of finding a way to make them quote unquote healthier by making them higher in protein or like recipes and things like that. Honestly, I think this is a trap that a lot of weight loss surgery patients and people fall into, especially if you are heavily on social media surrounding weight loss surgery, because I definitely fell into it as well. Like, I've been there. It's one thing to make a healthier or higher protein option of like your favorite junk foods when you're having a craving, but like it was seeming like this was what she was heavily relying on when it came to her post-op diet, as opposed to like just relearning how to eat and really taking advantage of the fact that weight loss surgery oftentimes, if not like all the time, changes your entire palate to make you like not want super processed junk food for a very long time. A lot of people criticized her also for like not quote losing weight fast enough and or quote failing at her weight loss surgery, which she did address in a vlog later.
People say like, why is she still so big? How do you feel having another failed weight loss surgery? Comments like that are really, really not cool. People love to bash me about my weight and about how I have had gastric bypass and I'm not thin. I have lost well over 100 pounds. I have been feeling the healthiest, happiest version of myself. I work out consistently 3 times a week for the last several months. My blood work is great. My blood pressure, my cholesterol, everything is great. I feel so good mentally, physically. It's really discouraging to see people give me so much hate just because I had gastric bypass and I didn't come out of it a year later like super thin like a lot of people do. I know people are gonna comment, you eat a ton of bread and pasta. No, I don't. I do not share every single thing I eat. Everything I eat is talked about with my nutritionist, my protein pasta. If I have a little bit of bread, it's usually whole grain. Like, I don't just eat a bunch of bread and pasta. And I don't even need to sit here and explain myself because that's just exhausting. But like, it's not cool to make up assumptions about me and what I eat and my health and my body. I'm happy I had the surgery. No, I didn't come out of it thin, but that's not to say my health journey is done. And I also don't care about being thin. I care about being healthy. If you don't like me and you hate watch me and you're just here to critique me, your life is sad. I think it's really sad that you're doing that. And I hope that like you find some love and joy in your life. It's just not right to critique my body and assume all of my eating habits and just like assume I'm a failure because I had weight loss surgery and didn't come out of it stereotypically thin. That's not right and it's not fair, and it causes major issues to people who are in my position who are afraid to share or afraid to get surgery. It's just spreading negativity online in its own right is it's just so icky. Just feel like stable. Like I've been very calm lately. Like I've just been feeling good about life and my routine, and I don't know. That's what it's all about. I just feel pretty at peace with everything. So anyway, that's the vlog.
I guess I just know like that weight loss surgery affects people so differently from one another that it doesn't seem fair to me to critique the speed at which she did or didn't lose weight in weight loss surgery, because I can also say like even at my lowest weight, I was still barely below 200 pounds. And so I was never like quote unquote thin either. But honestly, I think a lot of the scrutiny around this came from the fact that she had just been exposed for lying about something huge like months prior to her having surgery. And the fact that she was like seemingly pretty comfortable lying by omission about a cosmetic surgery. And so like, why wouldn't she lie about the progress that she was having with weight loss surgery, right? I think one of the more like saddening things I found in researching this video was the slow but very obvious descent Alex had into full fat activism and health at every size rhetoric, and the fact that she spews some pretty harmful and false narratives that fat activists also spew in their content on TikTok and things like that. And I think for me, Alex had always been a more just like generalized body positivity creator and not so much a fat activist activism creator or fat acceptance creator, but she still managed to sprinkle in some very big fat activism talking points into her otherwise like harmless vlog content, which honestly to me has always felt very manipulative and dangerous, because I think this is how a lot of like primarily young girls, myself included when I was a teenager, get roped into thinking some of the things that fat activists think that end up being very detrimental to their health in the long run. They almost kind of like lure you in with like the pretty body positivity, and then they'll sprinkle in some of their more like radical beliefs in there. Honestly, just further alienate fat people from the rest of society, and it's all just kind of like downhill from there. I talk about it a lot in my other content, but honestly not sure if this is intentional, but it's a pattern I've noticed specifically with TikTok creators, but also in Alex's content over time. Alex has always talked about her experiences growing up fat, being fat, all of that. And I always admired her for that, because she would talk a lot about like harmful stereotypes surrounding fat people and how just generally fat people are treated differently in our society. Again, it was something that I could really relate to as a young teenage fat girl, right? And I think where a lot of the issue lies with me with how she talks about this is because it's almost always in relation to doctors or things regarding like medical stuff. She's talked a lot on her channel about how she almost expects to be treated negatively at the doctor because of her weight, which I can understand due to like some personal experiences I've had, but like she brings it up so much in her content, and that I fear it would make her audience like maybe scared to go to the doctor and like not go to the doctor. And that's always a fear I have when fat activists talk about this, because I'm like, please just go to the doctor.
Being overweight is it's interesting, because I feel like people can they think they can say anything to you about it all the time. Like you don't know you're overweight. Like, oh, I have no idea. I had no freaking idea. So I don't know. It builds up after a while. So I just this morning went to a dermatologist appointment. You know, a dermatologist, they're doctors for your skin. And we had a great appointment. I really liked her. She was a new dermatologist. And at the end, she was asking me if I could talk about something to my primary care doctor. And she was like, yeah, like go ask her about that. Because it's a new primary care doctor that I'm going to be going to. And she was like, yeah, go talk to your primary care doctor about this. And she'll also be able to help you with your weight. And I'm just like, you really had to add that on? Like, we had a great appointment. We found a remedy. And then at the end, you just had to go and ruin it and say, and she can help you with your weight. For people to always just like feel like they can say something like you don't know, like it's not like something you think about and something you're aware of, it's so rude. It's rude. And like sometimes these like little things will happen and like trigger you, and then it all just bundles up. And like I left, and it was like the last thing she said, so it just really like just hit me the wrong way. And I was like, why did you have to do that? Why did you have to just say that? Like, so unnecessary. Like, I'm aware. It's something I work on, and I don't need you to say it. I'm not blind. Not dumb. We're not ignorant to it. We're not blind. But other people think like, oh, well, you know what? Maybe if I tell her to lose weight, she'll do it. Oh, it's really not that fucking simple. And like, shut up. But like always, I'll shake it off, and I remember my self-worth. And just because like strangers think they can tell you that you're fat and you should lose weight, like, shouldn't affect your self-worth and self-love, because people are just like rude and ignorant. So you guys, when we head over to the doctor. Yay. All right guys, so I'm at the gas station now. I just finished my physical, and I am pleasantly surprised and rather shocked. I need more hand sanitizer. Oh, hi truck. I'm shocked and awed and really relieved that my new primary care doctor didn't give me shit about my weight. And that is shocking, because I was mentally bracing myself because I've had so many traumatizing experiences with doctors about weight. But she was wonderful. I am so thankful. Just know that there are good doctors out there who are not going to blame everything on your weight and discredit exercise and healthy living because of a number. Experience it really well. If you have a doctor out there who has fat shamed you or weight shamed you or discredited you or not listened to you when you're trying to explain something, switch doctors. I had to do that, and it's just, you gotta do what you gotta do. There are good doctors out there, so keep that in mind. I'm very relieved that went well.
Just watched the first episode of the new season of Shrill. If you haven't watched Shrill yet, like whatever size you are, I would definitely recommend. If you are also fat, you will relate heavily. They so accurately describe and depict what it's like to be fat in society. I'm fired up. Season 3 just came out today on season 3, episode 1, if you haven't watched yet. So at the end of this episode, she goes to the doctor. She goes to the gynecologist. It's a gynecologist appointment. Apparently her, again, spoiler alert, her normal gynecologist got called into a surgery, a birth or something, and there's a replacement doctor. And if you're also fat, you know there is a lot of anxiety around seeing new doctors, even your normal doctors, any sort of medical stuff, because there's so much to be worried about. Like, people can judge you before they even know about your health. Like, you don't know if you're gonna get fat shamed with a new doctor. Like, it's a stressful experience. Not just for fat people, of course, but just saying from fat people's experience, most of us are extremely doctor anxious, especially when seeing a new doctor, right? The new gynecologist comes in, does her pap smear, all that, and at the end she also goes, I'm sure Dr. So-and-so has talked to you about this, but you should definitely consider gastric bypass. You're at the perfect age for it, and hands her a brochure. And she's just like, oh, like, but we didn't do blood work or anything. Like, why are you telling me I should do this for my health? And she's like, I don't need to do blood work to know that if you lost weight, you would live a healthier life. And she takes the pamphlet. She's like, I am not interested in this weight loss surgery. We're unsolicited, right? She's a gynecologist, not talking about anything weight related. There was no blood work. Like, doesn't know about her health. She doesn't. You cannot look at someone and just know about their health. You cannot. Like, there's too much science nowadays. Of course, there are limits, boundaries, whatever. But even that aside, you cannot judge someone's health without looking at their blood work, their blood pressure, like cholesterol, everything. Like, there's so much more than just looking at someone and assessing their body size and being like, you're not healthy. Like, there's so much more to it. But and I know even this video is going to get like so much negativity from people that are stuck in an old mindset. Probably people that think BMI is still a thing. Thin does not always equate to healthy. It just doesn't. Like, BMI, oh, I'm getting started on BMI. My husband is so fit. He's a captain in the army. He runs every day. He is super muscular. And like, based on his BMI, he's like obese. Like, BMI is such crap.
I think one of the first times I remember being like, oh, this is where we're going with this content, was when she talked about how she got denied life insurance because of her weight. And this was after she had had gastric bypass. And according to her, she had lost 110 pounds at that point. Due to this, she was expecting to maybe like pay a little bit more for her life insurance or need to get an extra physical because she still was like overweight or obese, but she wasn't expecting to get like fully denied. In this video, she flat out states that she believes that health and weight have no correlation and that she had great blood work and all of that, right? Which I do understand the health and weight have no correlation argument to a point. This video drummed up a lot of controversy because I think this was one of the first times she went full on like health at every size in her content.
Fat girl's about to go on a rant. Cue the keyboard warriors. I am irked. I am irked. No secret, I'm a plus size girl. I am chunky and funky, fat girl, whatever. And I have actually shared in the past a few times now of being discriminated against because of my size, having stigmas thrown at me because of my weight. I recently decided to apply for life insurance. Like, okay, so the lowest price options. I'm like, yeah, I want the lowest price for what I'm looking for with the life insurance. What's my best option? And they're like, okay, so it'll be this one. That's the lowest. And I'm like, oh, all right, already that's higher than expected. But you know, I already know it's going to be a little high because I am plus size. I'm overweight. And even one of the questions in the survey is like, have you recently, in the last few months, lost more than 20 pounds? And I'm like, yes, lost a lot of weight recently. So, you know, granted, I'm like, that should, I don't know, help. I don't know. Even so, the problem is, we'll get to what the problem is. So he takes all my information and he's like, all right, we're sending off your application, should be Gucci. You'll get like a letter in the mail with all your info, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all right, cool. So it's been a few weeks and I just got a letter in the mail this morning. Your application has been denied due to the following reasons, one word, build. Okay. Literally that's you just saying to me, you are too fat. Do you have diabetes? Do you have high cholesterol? Do you have a family history of XYZ? Nope, you're just too fat. Honestly, I already know I'm gonna get so much hate from all the people out there. Well, what do you expect from life insurance? You're overweight, that comes with a million different health risks. First of all, I know you're gonna comment, whatever, just do it and have a great friggin' time. The bottom line is, health and weight are not the same. You can be healthy at a bigger size. There is no number on the scale that equals health. I have friends who are overweight and unhealthy. I have friends who are overweight and super healthy. I have skinny friends that are super unhealthy. I have skinny friends that are healthy. Your body size does not equate to your health.
When it comes to matters of insurance, especially in America, things are very black and white. And I would hope she would have just gone to like a different life insurance provider who had maybe like different thresholds. But honestly, I don't really know how this panned out. But yeah, also don't know if I'm like super qualified to talk about matters of life insurance, especially because I've always just gotten my life insurance through my employer. So I haven't had to get approved or denied. From what I gathered from people who did seem to know what they were talking about, life insurance can just be really hard to get with any kind of comorbidity, but I could be wrong. But this was just one of the first times I remember her going like deep into like HAES and health at every size on her channel so explicitly. Another more recent like instance of this, I have a video reacting to, but she was basically forced to go to a new OBGYN because her current OBGYN at the time had a BMI cap that she didn't know about. Alex's reaction to this was like pretty emotional, which at the time I could and still honestly do totally understand, because she was newly pregnant with a baby after having a miscarriage, and she was really attached to that doctor. And especially with OBs, like having a good one and having one you're comfortable with is like so important. And so I understood why she was so emotional about it. But like in the video, again, she goes on to talk about how BMI is bullshit and like it isn't a trustworthy reflection of someone's health. And she didn't understand why her BMI suddenly mattered to her OBGYN. And I think this video mainly drummed up a lot of conversation because Alex started talking about how, while she does carry a lot of extra fat, she also is very muscular because of her years of working out, because she grew up fat and she was always trying to lose weight. And she was basically saying that like she thought that could have skewed her BMI.
I am currently 10 and a half weeks pregnant, and I've been going to the same OBGYN now for a couple of years, all that. So I will say my original OB I loved so much, and I got notified about a month ago that she was leaving the practice, and I'm like, oh, that sucks. I love her. She was so amazing during my miscarriage last year. She was just extremely empathetic. Just, I adored her with all my heart. So I was bummed because I was prepared to go through this pregnancy with her. So I got assigned to a new person. I met with her yesterday, and unfortunately the vibe wasn't great from the beginning. So I meet with the doctor, Yarman's with me, my husband, and we're in the room, and we're starting the process of talking about everything, and she says to me, you know we have a BMI cap here, right? And I'm like, no one told me this. And she's like, yeah, we put it into practice last summer, a BMI cap. And my heart like immediately just sank, because I'm like, first of all, I just didn't even know that this was like a thing at some practices. BMI is such bullshit, and I'm so glad that doctors are starting to realize that, because health and weight are already not synonymous. But also, I'm very heavy because I've been working out since I was like 10 years old. I've been going to the gym since I was a child. I've been on diets since I was a child, but more than anything, I've been working out since I was a child. I recently lost 100 pounds over the last couple of years when I had gastric bypass, and I've kept like 95% of it off. So I have a long history of struggling with weight, and I just hate BMI so much because I am very heavy, because I'm very muscular. Like a high percentage of my, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of fat in there too. I'm not saying I'm like not fat, but I have a lot of muscle and it makes me heavier, and with that it makes my BMI so much higher. I don't know, I just think it's just breathe. It just felt absolutely shocking, and like I told a few close friends about it and they were just like, what? And they're thin. They were like, I didn't even know that was like a thing. Like I would never even have to think that's a thing because of thin privilege. And like I have seen so many incredible healthy plus size pregnancies online that people share, and actually I've even known in person. I just hate this stigma with size and health and pregnancy. And it's not to say that there can't be issues from weight, but it's not always going to be from that, and it's not something that we can always just pin it on, put everything on weight. It was just very dehumanizing yesterday for her to drop this on me, and then she's going through with the exam. My robe was a little too small. I could barely close the front of it. I'm sitting there just like naked with a too small robe on, receiving this news, and then having to have like my legs in stirrups, feeling so like just awkward and dehumanized. That's like the best way I can say it.
A lot of people, like myself included, were very critical of this response also, because she seemingly just like wasn't grasping the fact that this BMI cap was likely due to the limitations of what kind of care that clinic could provide her. Because no matter like what your medical history is, no matter if you've lost weight or what, you are still like in the obese category and you become pregnant, like you are classed as a high risk pregnancy, and you're going to require different care for that, like throughout the whole course of your pregnancy, and possibly even when it's time to deliver the baby. Like seemed to just like miss that point and go straight to taking this personally, and also disregard the risks that do come from being fat and pregnant. And obviously, like I understand the whole conversation around fat people get pregnant and like still need care is a very valid conversation to have, right? Just like how she was willing to admit that she may have had to pay extra for life insurance or whatever because of her weight. She just like wasn't willing to see maybe that this was a logical thing for this clinic to do, because she just needed different kinds of care because of her weight. I get that emotions and hormones and stuff are a thing, and totally understand that. I've never been pregnant, but like hormones affect me a lot, even not pregnant. So this was the second time, as far as I'm aware, that Alex has explicitly made like a BMI is bullshit video and sprinkled it in with her otherwise like harmless daily vlog kind of content. I know the BMI is not perfect, but it's what is used and it shouldn't be discredited by people who don't really know what they're talking about. Alex's like foray into fat activism and stuff isn't as explicit as like other creators I've talked about. It's definitely there and it's definitely more inconspicuous, and which honestly I think makes it just as scary or dangerous as the people who are more like explicit about it, because it's sneaky. And so I just wanted to talk about that here. So, okay. Things are going to get really dark here for a second and involve talking about the essay of a minor. And so if you do not want to hear this, I'm going to have this video chaptered out. So just skip forward to the next chapter, because this is like a sharp turn from everything we've talked about in this video so far. And I'm only bringing this up because it's there, like it's out there. And if you go look her up on like Reddit or the place that shall not be named, Kiwi Farms, this will come up, and it comes up like almost right away when you go to like her Reddit, just forums talking about her, right? And you'll most likely see some things regarding Alex's dad and how he was in prison for essaying her underage stepsister. And people have found letters to the judge from Alex asking for her dad's probation conditions to be appealed. One was in 2012 and one was in 2023. And in these letters, she states some things that like completely disregard her stepsister's experiences, because Alex in these letters states that she has never had any bad experiences with her father. I obviously do not condone any of the stuff that she said in these letters, because I do think it completely writes off her stepsister's experiences. And I don't want to talk too much about this or like give any opinions on it, because like think it's more complicated because it is her dad. Like, thank God, like I've never gone through something like this, but like I would imagine it's really hard for children of offenders to come to terms with the fact of what their parents did or parent did. And I'm not trying to put words in anybody's mouths or feelings in anybody's brains who has gone through this. It's just something like I'd imagine it would be really hard. Again, by all means, especially the one in 2023, I am not agreeing with what she did at all. I just don't know about the situation to talk about it. But I also feel like I would have been remiss to not bring it up even just a little bit, because like it's there, like it's out there, it's on the internet. And as a whole, the fact that somebody dug this up is a whole other conversation on its own. Like I think it's wild personally, but like it is there and I know the internet knows about it. So I'm just bringing it up. I'm just going to leave it there. There are more than likely a lot of things that I missed in this video. But I think overall, the main downfall, like I've said, when it comes to Alex and what her content has turned into, is that she's just an unreliable narrator now and has really lost, I feel like, the authenticity that her content had a long time ago. And I think the paniculectomy tummy tuck drama was really a turning point for her and her channel, because after then her content just became the subject of so much online scrutiny. Like it just ramped up to 1,000 after that, or like around the time, but really after that happened. Now there are like I said, like whole channels dedicated to like nitpicking her content and calling her out. And it's been interesting to see the change in her content, having been a viewer of her for such a long time when I was a kid. It's been interesting, I guess, to see the distrust of her as a creator grow more and more over the years, because I feel like she started off as a very trustworthy creator. I've been yapping for 47 minutes and 30 seconds, so I am gonna cut it here. Let me know what you think of all this down below. Thank you so much to Factor for sponsoring today's video. And if you want to give Factor a whirl for yourself, be sure to go click the link down in my description once again to get 50% off your first delivery and then 20% off your first month. I really recommend Factor. I love it. Leave a rainbow emoji down below if you made it this far. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to be kind to yourself, be kind to others, drink your water, take your meds, and I will see you in the next one. Okay, bye.